On the evening of Bastille Day, a 19-ton cargo truck plowed through a celebrating crowd for over a mile, and by the time it stopped, 86 people were dead and 458 more were injured. It happened on the Promenade Des Anglais in Nice, France, on the 14th of July, 2016, as thousands gathered by the Mediterranean to watch the fireworks. This was one of the deadliest attacks on French soil in modern history, and it reshaped how the country thought about its own security on its most patriotic night of the year. The attack was deliberate. A man drove the heavy truck straight into the packed seafront crowd, using the vehicle itself as a weapon. The driver was Mohamed Lahouaiej-Bouhlel, a Tunisian man living in France. The rampage ended only when police confronted him in an exchange of gunfire, and he was shot and killed at the scene. The following day, the Islamic State claimed responsibility, saying the driver had answered its calls to target citizens of nations fighting the group. France's public prosecutor, Francois, said the attack bore the hallmarks of jihadist terrorism. President François Hollande went further, calling it an act of Islamic terrorism. The response was swift and heavy. France was already under a state of emergency, declared after the November 2015 Paris attacks. Hollande extended that state of emergency for a further 3 months, and it was later stretched all the way to the 26th of January, 2017. He also announced an intensification of French airstrikes against the group in Syria and Iraq. The government declared 3 days of national mourning. The choice of Nice was its own grim detail. This is no small town. Nice sits on the French Riviera, on the southeastern coast where the country meets the Mediterranean at the foot of the French Alps. Its greater urban area holds close to 1 million people, spread across roughly 744 square kilometers, an area about the size of Singapore. It is the second largest French city on the Mediterranean coast, after Marseille, and it lies just 13 kilometers from Monaco and about 30 kilometers from the Italian border. On Bastille Day, its famous seafront promenade was exactly the kind of dense, celebrating crowd that turned an ordinary truck into a mass casualty weapon. The attack marked a turning point in how European cities thought about vehicle-borne threats. A rented cargo truck, driven into an open public gathering, required no sophisticated planning, and that simplicity is precisely what made it so hard to prevent. In the years that followed, the sight of concrete barriers and bollards ringing festivals and pedestrian zones became a permanent, visible legacy of what happened that night on the Promenade Des Anglais. That's it for this one. Watch this next. Why News of the World Died. The $1 million scandal.